All right, good morning or afternoon, everyone. Good to have you here joining our live Power Hour session here with the Wealth Integrity Network Group. My name is Phil Dizon, founder and president of our organization, and joined by my colleagues here in the industry. Going to be sharing some sales ideas here with you, and excited to get into this conversation. If you're here, thanks for taking your time out of your busy schedules. Thanks to our partnership with IWX, who, for many of you, are here because of that invitation. We continue to do whatever we can to provide education, training, and support for the agent field for those who are trying to increase or have a goal to increase your annuity sales, whether it be through lead opportunities, marketing, branding, credibility, growth, or sales ideas. We truly want to be your one-stop shop for all your needs when it comes to excelling and taking your business to the next level. So excited to be here. I'm also joined by Ricky Villa, one of our key success coaches and account managers here at the Win Group, and also Troy Briggs, industry leader here with one of our distribution partners, insurance partners, I should say, at Nassau Re. We're going to dive into some of the things that we're going to get into today. So, with some of those formalities out of the way, again, my name is Phil. I'm excited to get into the conversation. If you have any questions, by the way, we have a Q&A box at the bottom of the chat. Feel free to type it in, say hello, say hi, just to make sure that's actually working because we are live. You can also raise your hand. Now, this is a webinar Zoom call, so this isn't your normal meeting, where you would just jump in. If you do want to raise your hand and actually participate in our call, we'll save that towards the end. But if you have a quick question here and there, we'll do what we can to address it in the Q&A chat. We're also going to talk about some offers and opportunities. I think at the end of the day, we want to give you not just education, but the tools. And many of the tools and ideas you're going to hear about today are free. They're at no cost. And that's a great thing about our industry. There's a lot of information to be shared, but it's all about what you do to take action. And one of the things that we're going to be sharing with you today are some of the things you can do to take action so that you're not just sitting on this information. You can actually do it and apply it to your book of business. I'm just going to share my slides here real quick so you have a little introduction to who we are. We are going to talk about some no-cost annuity strategies and tools to help your client boost their Social Security income by 75%. Might be thinking like, that's almost double what we're talking about. Yeah, and that's true. For many clients and many individuals out there in the nation considering the Social Security options before they retire, many of them don't understand they can actually get more out of their Social Security, but they don't know how. And a lot of times, many agents like you in the field may not understand that either. And that's why we're going to talk about some of those strategies today. And this is some simple ideas that can help reignite a conversation that maybe you haven't gone towards when it comes to how to create a conversation on annuities. A little bit about the Win Group. When you place your business with us, you're automatically enrolled in our Win Rewards program. Whenever you write business, it all counts towards helping build your brand, increase your marketing exposure out there in the field, also leads, or even helping you qualify for ways to enhance, your sales process by using with designations, which is also a part of what we're going to offer you here today, is giving everybody else here today an opportunity to actually get a specific designation as a Social Security expert at no cost. One of the most well-recognized designations called the NSSA designation. It's a $1,200 value, and we're going to be offering an opportunity for you guys to get that at no cost. So stay till the end for more details. We are a one-stop shop, not just for annuities, but again, support on the back end, annuity case design, Social Security tax experts on our team. Also estate planning, a little typo there, missed the spaces, but we offer a full one-stop shop for all your needs when it comes to building your practice. I mentioned that before, all this that we're talking about is connected to building a bridge. And one of the biggest tools and brands that we've utilized to help agents do that is through our Retirement Shield 360 system. So all these concepts we're talking about is really an extension of that. And for many who may not notice already, you've probably seen this, but a big part of our philosophy of building a secure practice or building a solid practice is you got to have the four pillars, right? The four pillars of success for building a strong annuity practice. You got to have credibility, you got to have good content, you got to be able to make connections, and you got to have a good community, right? You got to have a good team surrounding you. And one of the things we're going to talk about is, the opportunity to become a free member, which gives you access to the slides that we talk about when it comes to the key components to building a solid retirement, which is having a Social Security shield directly related to what we're going to talk about today. Because one of the biggest issues that we're seeing right now is that 96% of Americans are turning Social Security at the wrong time. And what are we talking about? There's actually an article that was referenced I believe through Yahoo Finance, that talks about that most Americans aren't electing it at the right time because they're worried about missing out, or they think they get a elect sooner than later. Only 4% are getting the most optimized payouts, which means you're talking about an average loss of about $111,000. That's six figures that they're leaving on a table over their lifetimes. You think about a couple, that's almost $200,000, over 200,000, almost 250,000, $250,000 left on the table per couple by not electing Social Security at the right time. So that's what we're going to talk about today: is how do we address the fact that Social Security is estimated to the Social Security fund itself. If you guys don't know this, by 2035, and actually it's 2033, they're estimating that Social Security fund is going to run out. And by 2035, they're estimating a 23% reduction in their benefits. All right. And so that's why we're having this conversation today. I wanted to make sure we kind of set the stage for why is whole Social Security important, right? It's they've been paying into it. We all have been paying into this for the last 20, 30, 40 years of our lives. It's going to be for many of them, it's going to be one of their biggest nest eggs. So it's worth diving into some sales ideas to maybe, man, what if I can add another six figures? If I had a stack of $100,000, stacks right in front of them, wouldn't that be worth it to take just 15 minutes of their time to see how you can do that? That's what we're talking about today, Troy. Excited to have you be with us. I know I've been talking and blabbing here for a while, but appreciate you joining us here. Troy, tell us a little about yourself and your role with NASA.
Yeah, so Troy Briggs, everybody, national sales with Nassau Annuity. I've been affiliated with the organization since 2001. So I've seen a thing or two over the past, 25 years. I got started in the business in 1994. So I've seen a lot of products, a lot of changes in this business. I've seen a lot of things, as I mentioned, come and go. Excited to share with you a few things that we've got here at Nassau that are going to tie into what Phil and Ricky have to offer at the Win Group, and really excited to be here. I've seen my fair share of value-added programs, right? It come and go, and I think what we can offer you with Social Security Plan, I think, is outstanding. I love it. I'm excited to share with you a few things. For those of you who maybe have seen me present before, I move along fairly quickly. And so if you have questions, just reach out to Phil or Ricky afterwards, or type, as he mentioned, type a question in, and we'll take it from there. And my pace, Phil, is actually just like yours. So I do keep things moving quick. So let me just
I
share
love
my
it.
screen. I'm going to jump into this right from the get here, and then Phil and Ricky are going to jump in if they want to stop me. If you think I need to come up for breath, just let me know. But at Nassau, we've been known to offer really strong guaranteed income products, and we've got a really varied and a wide-ranging, index annuity portfolio. But today we want to just talk to you about our Nassau Income Accelerator product and our Personal Protection Choice product. Now, we're going to do this at a high level, and then we're going to mix in some of the programs that we have that could help you, I think, do more and better business, specifically with Social Security planning. But we recently just went through a price increase from guaranteed payout factors with both of these products. So we increased payouts that the consumer is going to see by 6% again across the board. And so we rank very, very highly in the industry right now as you compare us to companies that I compete against. So the highest amount of guaranteed income that you can get from Nassau is with our Nassau Income Accelerator. And then if you're looking for income and care benefits with an optional death benefit, that would be the Personal Protection Choice. So I just want to make
And
sure that
Troy,
you know. Yes.
I just want to jump in real quick. The reason why by the way, we're starting off with this conversation on product
Yep.
is that this product that we're talking about, the accelerator, literally was built to help fill that gap that we're talking about. Because we're probably wondering, okay, well, how does this relate to the sales idea
Yep.
to increase, clients' income by 75%?
That's
Well,
right.
this product was specifically built to help fill that gap so that they can defer their income for as long as possible. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I see Richard Lynn's hands up. Like I mentioned at the beginning, if you want to join our call, we're going to save that open opportunity towards the end. But if you have a quick question, feel free to type it in the Q&A chat. But yeah, Troy, go ahead.
Yep, absolutely. So let's just jump right into it, as Phil was mentioning. So with Nassau Income Accelerator, right, we've got three riders that you would choose from. Let me blow this up to make sure that everyone can see this. So, Nassau Income Accelerator, our best guaranteed income product at Nassau. We've got levelized income options. So if you want to exercise the income rider early on within the first 3 years, you do the income horizon early for one or for two individuals. I think a lot of you are familiar with how these income products work. So again, it's income early. If you're going to exercise a rider in the first 3 years, it's income horizon later. If you want to exercise it at 4, 5, 6, 7 years down the road, our income benefit base is growing at 10%. A lot of times the client doesn't really care about that. What they care about and what they're focused on is how much guaranteed income can I get on a monthly, quarterly, annual basis. That's it. That's what they're looking at. And so they want levelized income. They can get levelized income with this Nassau Income Accelerator. If they, the one thing that Phil's mentioning and what I think is a real differentiator is obviously you've got levelized guaranteed income, but we've got the option with the NIA, and I'm going to share with you some examples and walk you through how it works. You've got an option where you can front load the income coming out of the annuity product and what's great is you get a lot of flexibility with this. You can choose between 1 and 8 years. So if you needed to front load some income over a 3 year stretch or maybe a 6 year stretch, you could push out the maximum amount of dollars that you can get out of that period. And then at the end of the 3 or 6 years, as an example, it would reduce to a levelized amount and pay that out each and every year for the rest of the person's life. Why is this useful? Why is this flexibility important? And why the idea that you could front load income coming out of an annuity contract makes sense? Because when you're thinking about Social Security, um, for many people, if they're looking to maximize the amount that they're going to get from the Social Security system, again, for one or for two individuals in those spousal situations, a lot of times it makes sense for them to defer to get to their full retirement age, which for many people now is at age 67. Some people even have the idea that they want to try to get to age 70 before they start taking Social Security. But a lot of times they want to retire at 64, 65, 66. If we have the ability to front load income coming out of an annuity contract, we literally can create a bridge to get them from point A to point B, mimic their Social Security payments, and then at that point in time when they want to exercise and take Social Security, they can do that they can maximize that amount, optimize that potential, and then still have income coming from the annuity contract. So I just had a couple of examples to share with you what this looks like as it pertains to this flex forward benefit. Perfect example for somebody who's at age 63. They put $250,000 into this particular annuity contract, and they're going to start taking income right away. So they sat down and they said to you, I want to retire, but I know I got longevity in my family. I know I should be delaying my Social Security as long as I can because I want to maximize it. I want to get my full retirement benefit amount from the Social Security system. What we can do at Nassau is, and again, when you're entering the inputs into our quoting system, you'll put the dollars amount in, the person's age. You'll choose the flex forward income benefit from the Nassau Income Accelerator. Years to defer, I'm just showing you zero. What that means is you're going to start taking income right away from the annuity contract. If you want to delay this a couple of years, you could do that. In this example, it's 0 years. We're going to get an early income period of 4 years. So we're going to get this person from age 63 to age 67. 4 years of income. We're going to bridge it. We're going to bridge 63 to 67 until they can get their full retirement through Social Security at that point in time. And what we're able to do is pull out $27,665 from the annuity contract each and every year for 4 years to mimic that Social Security payment that they would have been receiving. And then at the end of that 4 years, at age 67, when they start their Social Security, it's going to the annuity is going to levelize out at just over $14,000 a year each and every year for the rest of this person's life. Remember, we can provide income for one or for two individuals in spousal situations. I will tell you that this flex forward benefit, and this is really important, Phil, the flex forward benefit never changes when you have couples, ever. Depending upon the situation The trailing income, the levelized income will change based upon, is it one or two people and what's the age of the youngest person. So flex forward benefit does not change. When it levelizes out, it's going to change depending upon the factors that we're inputting into the quoting system for the Nassau Income Accelerator.
Hey,
Another,
Troy, I had
yep,
a question on this.
yep,
From a planning standpoint, I'm
yep,
assuming that when people are thinking of how much Social Security am I going to get at age 67,
yep,
they're more wanting to plan for the period of 67 all the way till they're 100. So they're
yep.
gonna they're gonna kind of try to input the numbers to try to, is there it within the illustration tool, can we, you know, try to reverse engineer and say, hey, I want to make sure my social or my lifetime income is this amount,
Yep.
4 years in. I don't care how much the early amount is. I love that it's more, but I want to, can we do that? Can we like look at the numbers that way and try to plan for what it's going to be when it shifts to the lifetime income amount?
Yeah. So I'm gonna jump to the tool, and then I got a couple other examples I'll share with you on how you could utilize this product. I think this is important. This is what Phil was talking about. So the Nassau Income Accelerator, you got a lot of different ways you can build that out. Really, a lot of flexibility, right? We actually at NASA for free. This is a free service. We have a Social Security optimizer tool that's available to you on our website. So when you come on to, our website, and I'll share with you what that is at the end of the call. You go to where you run quotes and illustrations, and you open up that section. You could go do some optimization work for the clients that you're working with, and you input the data, and it's going to spit back for you the best way for a person to take out their Social Security payments. Sometimes, especially in spousal situations, right? So with single people, it's easy. I mean, the longer you wait, the more monies you're going to receive. If you live long, the crossover is usually age 78, 79. You're going to get more monies from Social Security the longer that you wait. When you have spousal situations and you've got somebody who's, let's say, age 64 and they have a spouse that's either older or younger, that's going to change some of the dynamics on what you were talking about, Ricky. The software is going to solve that problem for people. And it's a terrific tool. And I recommend, I've done it for myself. I always recommend people to come on in and do it for themselves or do it for a friend or for a relative. And you're going to be extremely surprised and happy, I believe, with what you're going to see because it gives you a true indication because it factors in cost of insurance, excuse me, cost of living adjustments into and they factor that in. I think that you'll be surprised at what you see, what that future income is going to be, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So, Social Security optimization from Nassau. Come on in, take a look at it. It's a terrific tool, and to take it a step further, you can actually produce a report for the people that you're working with, a Social Security report professional looking. We can, if you just want it to focus on Social Security, you can just have it focus on Social Security. If you want to tie in Nassau Income Accelerator and utilize the NIA as that bridge product, we could do that for them. I'm not doing a deep dive here today. I'm going to tell you that on our website, we've got webinars and actual short clips that can show you how to use this software. But when you go through the report, it's going to show a person what their custom strategy is and what their optimal strategy is going to be. And so it does a terrific job in laying it out for everybody. And you see a lot of numbers here. So if everybody, I do not want you to get intimidated by what you're looking at. Basically, two sets of numbers. What's optimal? What's custom? The custom is what the client is thinking about doing. Optimal is how you're going to maximize what you can get out of the Social Security system. And so again, it's going to show you on a monthly and on an annual basis how much income you can get for a person with Social Security. It's going to show you the cumulative amount, and then it's going to show you the difference between optimal and custom. I know I'm talking fast. I know when you're looking at the screen, you're like, holy moly, there's a lot of numbers here. But it's not that bad when you start doing it for yourself. Remember, I encourage you to come do it for yourself. All you got to do is get your full retirement benefit amount at age 67. You input this data and you're off and running. Ricky, I saw you have a question.
Yeah, and I just remember like we might not dive into it on this call, but I remember it being very engaging, like a very like you flip a switch and it shows you, it immediately shifts what the chart looks like and the numbers, so you can actually have a client on the screen with you while you're
Yep.
inputting the data and putting the numbers in, and
Yeah.
this report we're looking at is more of a afterwards, like hey, if they want to look at it afterwards, you could print
Totally.
this out or save this as a PDF and send this to them. But what I
Yep.
love about this, I want to emphasize this, is the custom strategy versus the optimal. What I see consistently from a lot of the most successful tools out there are ones where we can compare where you currently stand and maybe what your current plan is thinking of doing versus another idea that may be a little bit more optimal, better, it might actually be more beneficial for you. And let's compare A versus B and see which one you pick. Let the client pick which one they think is better for them, and then
Yep.
that's what leads you down the path of getting the sale. So I definitely like this strategy.
And if you're going to tie in NIA on the flex forward strategy for that bridge, that's great. If they don't want the bridge, but they want to, they want to enhance what they could potentially have with Social Security, then you guys can start talking about the deferred annuities that you offer and just layer that in. So there's all kinds of different ways in which you could do this. This particular example, the clients have a 2 year age difference where the husband's 2 years older than the spouse. But what you see on the far right hand column, where you see some negative numbers and then you see some positive numbers, all this is when's that break even point from custom to optimization? And as I mentioned, oftentimes it's right around age 79 to 80 is the crossover point. So if they're living longer than that at that point, then they're gonna really start significantly accumulating or getting more assets to them from Social Security over the rest of their lifetime. So again, great report. And it's this is the final output of it. As I mentioned, you could just do Social Security, but if you want to tie in NIA, you could tie this in and then show a person, hey, look, we know you want to retire at 65. Let's get 60,000 from the NIA on this flex forward. 61,000. We'll pay this out for several years. And then when you want to take your full Social Security, this person's taken at age 70, by the way. The 61,000 is going to drop to 42. I mean, that's it. Remember, we're paying this out over a lifetime, right? And then they're going to kick on that Social Security payment, and then you'll see the total income on the far right. The numbers really do look impressive. So that report is terrific to use. A bunch of different ways to utilize the flex strategy. Um, Last example on the flex forward, because we built it for Social Security as a bridge, but we see other people utilizing this as a way to create go-go spending for themselves, to pay Cobra health insurance premiums, to fund insurance contracts, to pay off mortgages, and then create that levelized income stream that they can get. So one of my favorite examples I always use is a husband and wife, age 62. They put $500,000 into NIA. They're waiting 3 years before they turn this rider on. So it's 3 years, and then we're going to flex it for an 8 year period. So remember, you get to choose between 1 and 8 years, depending on how much or how often how much you want to flex this forward. I'm just showing you over an 8 year stretch. And so at 62, so at age 65, we start pumping out $50,000 a year. Now we're pumping this out for an 8 year period. At the end of 8 years, by the way, they put $500,000 in. We're pulling $400,000 out of the annuity contract. And I love this concept too, by the way. This is what I would do. This is what Troy and Nancy Briggs would do. I love the idea of pulling out that money from the annuity contract, $400,000 coming out of the money that I put in, $100,000 sitting there still. And at age 73, we're going to continue to pay $34,106 out each and every day for the rest of these folks' lives. And if you've got a husband and wife who are in their mid 60s, I think we all know the stat here. There's over a 60% chance that one person is going to live into their late 80s, early 90s. So, pretty powerful story, and a lot of flexibility built into this annuity contract. Ricky, you had a question or a comment?
Yeah, I could also see, we talk a lot about purpose in retirement, Phil, in our retirement shield presentation and trying to ask questions in your fact finding to get people to open up about tangible things of what they envisioned retirement was going to be like for them. And I'm thinking of tangible things like a specific vacation they want to take, or maybe an annual trip that they want to be visiting their family members, in another state, or whatever. All these different things that they wanted to do, maybe bucket list in those early days of retirement is usually when they want to get those things out of the way. So
Yeah.
you could almost create this like vision of like the things that they want to achieve in retirement in those early years and say, hey, that's why we're going to accelerate your income and get you a larger dollar amount. And then we'll turn that off at whenever you feel like, you're going to be done doing all these extra trips. And
That's
then
it.
we'll lower that back down, and then you'll have just enough to cover your bills and kind of ride forward. You know what I'm saying? So you
Well,
could do a
the
lot with this.
Well, to expand on that, and I wouldn't look at it as like lowering their income. You're actually essentially creating a buffer between when they
Yep.
are getting the most out of their initial qualified plan or whatever it is that they establish as their retirement money. But then that Social Security bucket that we
Yep.
talked about earlier is now you're getting those credits, roll-up credits essentially, where you're deferring it as long as possible so that you're getting more income from that Social Security. And this is what I love about this, Troy, is look at this number. You're putting $500,000 in.
Yep.
I want you guys to think about this. If you guys have sold index annuities with an income benefit rider, in most cases, when the client's needing income sooner than later, your starting income where the payout factors are around 5 to 5.5% on that income benefit account. Well, look at this, guys. This blows everything out of the water. You're talking about actually a 10% withdrawal
10%.
essentially after 3 years off of their initial premium. They're getting their money back. I want you guys to really think about that. Really wrap your heads around the fact that for a lot of cases, you're not getting your money back on those income benefit rider payouts until usually the 12th, 13th, even the 15th year where you're breaking even. So here we're saying, hey, let's accelerate. I like how you position that story is let's give you the money that you need as much as you need it when during the years where you're still feeling young and feeling and we're going to be most active is you're not waiting in your 80s or 90s. You want to do that now. And then meanwhile, we're creating a plan around Social Security to let those enhancements on deferring it roll up till age 70, hopefully, right? And
Yep.
then boom, then the income drops, but it's guaranteed for life along with the Social Security. So, Troy,
Correct.
are we on the same track here about how agents should
Totally.
be thinking?
Absolutely. And so going back to the software on Social Security or going back to just running quotes, the best way you can learn how a product works and how you could, think about some of you are probably sitting there right now thinking about somebody that you're working with today. They're like, yep, this is it. This is the perfect thing. I've got a person I'm working on. They want to retire. They're trying to figure out how to make the numbers work. And it's just popping into your head. I encourage you to just come to our website or contact the team and just run quotes and play with some of the numbers. And then, maybe you only need to maybe you need to start it right away, or maybe you need to wait 2 years and you just need to flex it for 3 or 4 years. Just play around with the numbers and get comfortable with it. And look, I think you're gonna like what you see with the flexibility, and then really the income payout factors are extremely strong. I won't spend a lot of time on this, but just know that from a marketing standpoint, if you want to get the quotes in the form of paychecks for life, you can do this. You can put your information on here, your contact information. So we've got it available on our website. You want to check with your client's name on it, we can do it. People like it way more than I thought they ever would, but they use it a lot. So that's out there for you to utilize.
Hey, Troy, if you don't mind, sorry, take a
Yep.
few steps back to that illustration again. This
Sure,
so I
bub.
could, because I was again something else came up in my head.
Yep.
Troy, when it comes to the enhancement period, and I'm assuming the longer you wait to take that early income payout, the bigger the boost in their payout, but it also is
Yep.
determined by how long you want that boost to last, right? So if you want to, let's say maybe like they're 65,
Yep.
then you only need 5 years of that early income boost, right? Before they
Yep.
elect income at age 70. So the longer you wait, the better, but also the shorter period you need on that boost that also enhances that payout as well, correct?
I could drive that number. I mean, if you said to me, with this same example, over, let's say, a 3 year stretch, just off the top of my head, we probably get out $70,000 over 3 years. maybe more, maybe 75. So it's a lot. It's a lot. So depending upon the situation, right, we can do a lot of things. So
And then when you do that,
yeah,
that'll when you reduce the amount of years that you're taking that early income, it also affects the lifetime income payout, where technically
could
it would create a higher income payout.
it
So
could. So the beauty of it is, everybody, like up here on this illustration, you can see the maximum and the minimum. So you get to actually dial in, and this is over an 8-year period. So you get to dial in the exact dollar amount that you might need. So maybe in this 8-year stretch, you don't need 50,000, but you want to take out, let's say, 46. Or if I was to compress this to 3 years, let's just say it would be 75,000 and it would show 55. Maybe you only needed 62,000. Whatever that number is, it's going to impact the trailing number, Phil. So to your point, it's all based on math, right? However much money you take out, it's going to impact what's going to be left over that's going to be paid out again for a life. And this example is for two people. So
Yeah, so
I love
you
that.
could reverse engineer and play with
reverse engineer.
how many years you use the flex forward and
Yeah.
how much premium you put into it and different things like that. And that's kind of what I was asking earlier. I was like, it's
Yep.
almost like you're planning for when it does make the shift back, is that going to be
Yep.
enough
Yep.
to last me at that point? Because at that point I'm not going to be able to move the numbers around as much. And then or you're planning for that, like I said, all the vacations and fun things that you're going to do with the extra income at the beginning days. So you can kind of plan on either side of it. Yeah.
And I think it's part of a bigger picture, bigger planning picture is, just income in general, which cuts back to Phil's open and salvo, man, Social Security. So it all boils down to where's your income coming from different sources. Annuities are just a piece of it. Social Security is just a piece of it. You gotta People have to replace that paycheck in some form of fashion. And we're obviously in our business, everybody, we're big believers in utilizing annuities to do that. So this is just one tool.
Yeah, and I like what you said, Ricky, reverse engineer it. I think we're always going back to the purpose. It's a part of our retirement shield, best sales practice, but find out their purpose in retirement and then you build that plan around it. And guess what? Finding that purpose costs money. That
Yeah,
purpose might be, like you said, paying off the kids' tuitions. It could
yeah,
be taking that cruise. It could be traveling around the world. It could be, working in a payoff of their cars, whatever it might be, or buying a car
yeah,
that they've always wanted. So then those expenses or retirement dreams are most costly at in the first 10 years of their retirement, right? And there are other costs that happen later, which is why I love the segue into this personal
yeah,
protection choice,
yeah,
because the other costs you want to also work in are the fact that 75% of Americans are going to need some form of long-term care protection. And this is the one-two punch, right? We just
yeah.
discussed a Social Security gap sales idea with a calculator. Now, once you've solved their retirement, maybe how do I enhance the what ifs of if
Yeah.
they need long-term care assistance? This is where the PPC comes in.
So not a deep dive here, everybody. I'm not peeling the onion back on this, but I'm just gonna give you a couple quick bullet points, because I got a couple more slides to share with you, and then we'll open up for questions. But income protection, right? It's an income-based product, this PPC product from NASA. The difference between this and the NASA Income Accelerator, we've got a care protection rider. Okay, so if someone gets sick, they can get extra dollars to help offset costs associated with care facility. We're a little different than some other companies that are out there. First, we could do this for one or for two lives, even with qualified monies. If it's two lives, there's no reduction in the benefit. And I cannot stress this enough. There's no reduction in the benefit. We're going to pay out this extra monies for a 5-year period. There's no reduction. The dollars only have to be in the contract for 2 years, so it's not like a long wait. There's no reduction, flexibility on 5 years. In other words, if I got sick and I needed extra dollars, I could take it for 2 years. If I died, the income still keeps going to my spouse, but then she would have 3 years of payments left over. Okay, so there's a lot of flexibility with this particular product. But the big selling point, because most companies are not like this. Now, I'm not going to tell you that NASA is alone, although we were alone for a long time. uh, if the contract value goes to zero, we're an organization or a carrier that still pays this care benefit rider. It's extremely important because there's a lot of companies out there that tout their care benefit programs with their income products, but the care benefit rider is gone if when the contract value hits zero. So if they start that income rider and income's impressive coming out of the annuity product, 13, 14, 15 years down the road, it's conceivable that there might have any money left in the annuity contract. Yeah, so the income keeps coming out. We get that. That's how these things work. Income for life. But we still pay the care rider, even if that hits zero. It's important. It's a big selling point with what we do here. And at 250%, that's if somebody buys this product before the age of 70, 250% for nursing care rider. You you don't have to take my word for this. You could ask Phil or look at the competition. You're not going to find a higher payout product in this space that's got a stronger guarantee. You just won't
Yeah.
find it.
I was
You
gonna
cannot find it.
I
So
was gonna mention that I like that you have both triggers. It's like, what most products I see out there, it's nursing home only for a
yeah,
certain period of time as
yep,
the trigger, or it's ADL only. This
yep.
is like, either or. It doesn't matter. It's a little bit of a different level of the benefit, but
It
I
is.
also see most other products comparable in this way, capping it at a doubler. It's no more than 200%.
Right,
This will go beyond that, even up to 250,
right,
if depending on their age and some factors. But yeah, so I mean, two very unique factors. You have two different triggers, and then that even after the accumulation value has hit zero, you can trigger it later.
correct.
And I should say a third thing that you just don't see from anybody is the whole spousal thing, where
Right,
one spouse can use it for 3 years and then they pass
right,
away, and the other spouse still has it there ready for him for another 2 years. They
correct.
both get a combo of 5 years. So yeah, if long-term care is, and it's funny, I'm looking on the side to see some of my agent. I know one of my agents, Laura Hughes, does a lot of long-term care that's on our call right now. If you're doing long-term care and you don't know about this product, you got to get in touch with it, know it, have it in your back pocket. Absolutely.
And listen, it's one of the things that keeps people up at night. I promise you this, and you and everyone on this call knows it when they're talking to people in their 60s, 70s. What happens if they get if no one is writing a check and paying an insurance premium, if they've got some assets, a program like this might make sense. Okay, so everybody's a little bit different. I just tossed it out here. This is if you run quotes, this is exactly what they look like. I'll blow this up. Again, no deep dive here, but this is exactly what it looks like. Income, care, family protection, which is actually a lump sum death benefit, and that's optional. If you don't want to include that, you don't have to. But again, if these clients are 62, they defer this. The income rider grows. The longer you wait, the more the income grows. So, at 62, you wait 10 years, it's 73,000 in income, which is extremely strong. That care benefit rider is 184,000. And so you exercise this income at 71, 72. As I mentioned, at age 85, the contract might be at zero. We're still paying the income, but we're also still going to pay the care benefit.
That's
So
that's
I,
$111,000 difference
yeah,
that you're going to pay out up to 5 years. That's
right.
555,000 extra dollars that
Yeah.
they literally would not have had. Every other carrier would have said, "Oh, you're trying to trigger this benefit later. Oh, you're sorry, your accumulation value has already hit zero." And you're thinking, "Well, that's the money I came in with. What do you mean it's already hit zero?" So I don't, am I really getting a benefit? I'm not.
Uh,
This product is literally giving you all that extra money and saying that we'll pay it out to you even later in life. So
eh,
yeah, truly, truly like a product I try to bring up as often as I can when these scenarios come up. But
yep.
man, every time I see this in front of me, like we should be talking about this way more, and
Uh,
more agents should be presenting this as a long-term care option for sure.
So, Troy, I want to get some clarification because I think this is like, and I'm glad you're emphasizing this, Ricky, because I think for those who are watching who have sold index annuities with an income benefit rider, we all see these doubler benefits, and many of you may not realize it, but most, I'd say 95% of them, 98% of them, if they already triggered income and that cash value goes to zero. Even if it has a doubler benefit triggered by ADLs or long-term care stay, they won't double it because the cash value is there's no money to double it
Right.
right now.
Right.
Troy, question just for clarification. What you're saying is that even if the cash value goes to zero before they take their before they take income, or even while they're taking income, and if the cash value goes to zero, and then later on they trigger a ADL or a long-term care triggering
Yep.
situation, you guys will still double their lifetime income payment for 5 years?
That's correct. Flexible for 5 years and it's not continuous, as I mentioned. So for one or for two individuals, there's a lot of flexibility with it.
Yeah, it
That's right.
ranges, Phil. Not, I don't want to use the word doubler on this just because it ranges between 125%,
Right,
could be
right.
as high
Right.
as 250%. So it
Right.
depends on the
Actually, it could be
scenario, but
more. You're
the
right.
numbers still look great. I mean, even if I'm looking at the ADL benefit in year 10, like you're showing here on the screen, that's 129,000 versus the 73,000. That's still an extra, almost 60 grand. And if you
Right.
pay that out over 5 years, that's still an extra almost $300,000 that they would not have had. And then on
Yeah.
the nursing home, it's even much higher. Like I said,
Yeah.
$111,000 difference. I mean, that's 550,000 plus. So I mean, really a true benefit that literally gives you the extra money that the client needs later on in life.
We have our sample contracts on our website, and producers will call in and say, "Can you show that to me?" They'll call our sales desk. We can show you exactly in the contract where it's laid out for folks how that works. So look, we do entire training classes just on this particular product. So if there's ever need for that, let me know. We could come in and do a deeper dive. I only
And
had two other
then,
things.
oh, real quick. Sorry,
Oh,
go back to that last slide. So there's one more thing I want to make sure I emphasize here
yep,
because it's all about the what ifs, right? And
yep,
what if they're a part of that 25% that don't need a trigger, that don't trigger the annual care benefit or the ADLs, or
yep,
maybe the client doesn't even need the income.
yep,
Maybe you got this pot of money that's kind of sitting there. That family protection, that legacy bucket,
yep.
is a really neat feature that's included, all built into it. That's growing at a guaranteed rate. So I think that's another one. And that benefit, Troy, remind me again, how is that paid out at death?
It's lump sum. We don't force
Boom.
annuitization, and we don't force people to spread it out. And so that's a lump sum. That's a lump sum death benefit.
Family protection looks better if you know they're going to defer the income for an
Correct.
extended period of time because they only get the guarantee of like 10 plus
Correct.
percent roll up rate
Yep.
while they're deferring. So
Correct.
I think if you know they're going to defer out that income, then you maybe bring that up as a feature to ask them about for
Correct.
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Well, some of the
absolutely
best-selling products that we've seen from other carrier partners are based around death benefits, right?
Totally. Yeah.
So this is like, man, if they've got, if they got money that are not planning to use, this could be not just their legacy bucket, but also you're adding a care protection benefit as well, just in case they're the 3 out of 4 that need it. But if they don't
yeah.
ever use it, boom, you got something that guarantees to the client. How long does that roll up on that family protection?
It's a good question. So the death benefit rolls up for 10 years or until a person reaches age 85, whichever comes first. And we will write this annuity to age 80. So,
Age
you know,
80.
in
Okay.
the 70s, it's a 5% roll up. So it will grow at 5%. In the 60s, it's 10%. And when they get to the 71, it's 5%. So it is a way to achieve that, Phil. That's how some people will utilize it if they're just going to set some monies, excuse me, aside. Was used more for those purposes when we were in a lower interest rate environment. Right now, it's a little bit less so, but still, look, it's lump sum, and if it's of need to people, they could certainly take advantage of it.
Yep.
One last question on the family protection, because I know you mentioned this, Ricky, about if they elect income, but if they elect income, but then die, if they pass away prematurely, that family protection bucket is still there. The beneficiaries have the choice to either get the cash value itself or the greater of the family protection benefit account. Is that correct?
Like the death
Yeah,
benefit versus
yeah,
the
yep. If
accumulation
it's
value.
higher,
Yep.
absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we want to make sure like, it doesn't
It's
go
it's
away. Yeah.
Yeah, it's built to create a separation, like it's built so that your legacy death benefit column essentially is growing at a much higher rate while you're
Right.
deferring out your income. Yeah, so then you go to trigger your income and you're like, wow, I have an extra 100,000, maybe 200,000 or more in my death benefit column. So there you're kind of then protecting yourself that if maybe you don't use it for LTC and you pass away, well, you have more for your beneficiaries as well.
Yeah.
So
Let
yeah,
me
you
tell you
could,
why that's important
yep,
because when you think about the product, again, generalizing how index annuities work with an income benefit rider, no different than this one. We got guys, there's a fee that the client's paying for that's coming out of the cash value. And
Correct.
and I'm not saying this is going to be what happens with this product, but we know over time that the fee does take away from the growth on that cash value side. Well, that family protection benefit, it's not, they're not, the fees aren't working against that bucket. That
Right.
bucket is growing based on that original premium and
Right.
growing at that guaranteed rate.
you start to
So
see the separation for
yeah, you're
sure.
going to
Yeah.
see, over time, especially early on, they said about the what ifs, but I look at that family protection as an insurance policy
Yep.
on what happens if something happens too early.
Yep.
And what if I don't live long enough to benefit from all the income? I want to make sure that my wife or my husband or my
Yep.
my fam my kids in this situation get the most out of what I built. So
Yep.
yeah, this really covers it all. And this is all, by the way, we're talking about products that are offered through Nassau Re, and this is all part of what we offer here at the Win Group is the ability for you guys to get set up directly through us and benefit from some of these free tools and some of the things that we talked about earlier, which is some enhancements to your sales process that complement this program. But good stuff, Troy. Sorry, I know you have a few more slides
No,
prepared before we wrap.
no, I'm almost wrapped up, and I know I'm getting a little bit long in the tooth, everybody. So, look, we offer a full range of products, whether it's accumulation, income, care and death benefit. We think that we could be a one-stop shop for you all. One of the few carriers that has continued to grow in the insurance market space straight for 8 years. In fact, maybe the only one. So we've had a lot of success. And if you partner with us, and Phil, I know you wanted me to mention this here. Look,
Yeah.
we've got a very achievable, what we call elite producer program that starts at $2 million. And so you get, if you cross over 2 million in sales, you're earning bonus dollars. If you repeat, you earn more bonus dollars. And at 5 million, it's another level that's even higher, up to 100 basis points. And so some bonus dollars to be earned. But what people really like is the fact that you get a dedicated new business person. You get a dedicated service person. It's like having concierge. We know who you are. We have 200 elite producers who did about $950 million with us last year, and we just jump up and down for them and treat them like gold. So we would love you to be, a participant into this program. If you have any questions, just ask us afterwards. And then Phil, I'm gonna turn it back to you. But the website we can get, and what I love about our website is salesnet.nfg.com. Salesnet.nfg.com. You come out to the website. You have access to a lot of information where you don't need to put a username or a password in. I'm gonna tell you one thing about America today is like we get passwords for everything. I don't know how many times I have to change passwords on websites I go to frequently. It's almost embarrassing. Now I know some people save them in their phones and this and that. I'm kind of old school, but you can get access to a lot of information on salesnet.nfg without having to like go through firewalls. So if there's anything that we talked about here today, just check us out. We think you're gonna like what you see. If you have questions, just reach out to Phil or Ricky. And so those are my comments. Maybe there's some questions now, but I'll turn it back over to you guys.
No, this is great. Thanks for sharing that. And obviously to gain access to log in and have access, you want to be have an agent number, producer number. And here at the Win Group, we want to help you get set up with them. If you're already set up with them, great. We'd like to earn that business through us. I mentioned it here. I posted it in the chat. The business you place with Nassau will help you earn higher compensation rewards through us, free annuity leads, designations around the Social Security, IRMA, even federal benefits. We actually just added that as a benefit, a federal benefit specialist certification, and even personalized coaching. It's all built into when you place that business through us. Even a trip. I forgot to mention that we actually have a top rewards trip for producers where next year we're going to be in Hawaii. So a lot of good stuff here. And Troy, yeah, any questions? Again, type it in the chat. I think we have a question potentially here. Anonymous attendee. Okay, how's it going? You are B++, which I can tell, like I cannot sell. Thoughts? If you can't sell it, you can't sell it. But I guess you want an opinion on potentially,
Yeah,
how's that hindered NASA's ability to earn the business from other agents?
we're the only carrier that's grown 8 years straight in the IMO space. Period. So B++, we manage the company as if we're A minus. That's our goal, potentially this year to reach A minus, although it's not in our control. Uh, we like where we're sitting at. Solvency ratio 107%. If you need more information, we can get you. You can call me. I'd be happy to walk through that with you.
Awesome. Good question. I think at the end of the day,
Yep,
I think
absolutely. Good
you
question.
know, we're a full one-stop shop from
Totally.
A rated to the A plus rated down to the B rated. But
Absolutely.
I've had a long-standing relationship as an organization and also in the field over the last 15 plus years. And NASA has always been rock solid. Your RBC your percentage capital is phenomenal in terms of backing up all the assets that are coming in. So we've had no direct issues under the NASA re-umbrella. It's been rock solid for us.
Yep.
Awesome. Any other questions regarding the Social Security tools, long-term care tools, and sales ideas we've covered? Feel free to type it into chat. We're going to segue into some of the opportunities to not just get the right products, but also some additional tools tied to a story that's told around protecting people's retirement through a shield. Troy, you can thanks for hanging out with us here. We're going to make sure to
We'll
uh,
see you
give
guys.
guys an opportunity to get connected with you directly. Appreciate your time here today, Troy.
Thanks,
Appreciate you.
Troy.
Go Patriots.
Yeah, he's only saying that because we're based out of Seattle. We work in all 50 states, but
He's
we
hurting.
have a
He's
little bit of
hurting.
bias. Hope that doesn't offend anybody here that we
You
are.
guys are killing me. You guys are killing me. Enjoy the rest of your call. See you, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, Troy.
All right. All right.
That's awesome. Well, a big part of our intention of today's training is to not to share sales ideas, but also give you the bridge that I think many of you may be missing when it comes to getting to that point of talking about an annuity. Because I think this is a big question to think about, right? Is how do you jump from, hey, I've got a client or a prospect or even a lead. Many of you work different leads, different programs out there, but how do I get to that conversation where I'm talking about product? Well, we always believe you don't want to lead a conversation around a plan or on product. You want to leave it on concept. And our Retirement Shield 360 approach, I just want to share this with you guys, has been a phenomenal process or a sales process and a tool, all the tools that exist within it that help create that bridge that many of you may be missing to talk about annuities more and help you save time, right? If you're looking for a more straight line to talking about annuities and not have to kind of work around it, this is for you. You're looking to save money, right? Maybe yeah, and I'm talking about if you invested money in leads and marketing, are you getting your best ROI? And maybe why aren't they picking up the phone or why aren't they moving forward to that second, third appointment? We want to get the most out of the opportunities you're working with. And then last but not least, gain the confidence. I think that's a big part of this is feeling confident about your sales process that exists. Ask yourself this question. If you were to be asked, what's your sales process look like? Would you be able to, draw it out in less than a minute, what it actually looks like? Would you be able to explain it to a client properly without bringing up the word an annuity, without bringing up products? And for us, this has been a big part of our success we call it our three-step phase to really moving that process along to where you are going to end up talking about an annuity. And for us, it's always been about the credibility tools, enhancing your credibility by talking about Social Security through storytelling, right? Talk about risks in the market through storytelling. Talk about what's happening now, when it comes to the OBBA or Social Security issues or volatility or even long-term care through storytelling. And we do that through our book that's personalized through you. We made it an Amazon bestseller about 5 years ago, and we did it so that you can customize it and personalize it with your name and even have the opportunity to tell your story in that first chapter. And I'm talking really fast, but I just want to make sure that you guys see that these are some of the things that are included with the retirement shield process that might be missing. But it's not just about the stories that you tell, but it's also about how to demonstrate what you do through presentation slides. Now, there are a lot of presentation slides out there. I mean, this is no different in terms of the topics, but it's how it's told really makes a difference. I always say it's not about what you say, but how you say it. And we've learned doing hundreds of workshops across the nation, there are specific stories and how you explain it that captivate the audience that you're in front of or one-on-one that move that conversation along to earn what we call the trust factor. You're building trust by creating a story around what it means to talk about retirement. And last but not least, right, now they have the tools. Well, how do I use these tools properly, right? One of the biggest things that we're going to offer you today is having a cross-marketing playbook. This playbook has single-handedly provides you everything you need in one place to talk about what is most important as an entrepreneur and a business owner is what are the exact steps that you need to be taking to use the book, use the slides so that you can get to that point of putting together a Social Security recommendation, of getting to that point where you're talking about Social Security enhancements and pitfalls and how to fill that gap through maybe something like a product called the Income Accelerator through an SRE. But this is a part of that playbook where it walks you through the steps. And in addition to that, gives you the actual emails, the text messages, and the script to follow to initiate that conversation for follow-up. Ricky, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to emphasize how much of a game changer this has been for the agents that I'm working with is we're finding that 40-50% of your book of business each year, I'd say 20 to 50% are coming from the people of least resistance. They're in your book of business, people that you've already had conversations with in the past, people that are, maybe are in your Medicare book of business, your life insurance book of business, your mortgage protection book of business, people that are approaching that 55-year-old age, but you haven't really had a process or a way to kind of lure them in or hook them, with value or a concept that they want to learn more about, so that they have a reason to meet with you about a whole different topic where now you're wanting to have a conversation about retirement. And what we found is that when you're starting to incorporate text messaging, emails, and then phone calls, and you're rotating through all those three forms of touches and frequently doing that with your book of business, we're having agents prying up 5 to 10 plus more conversations around retirement. And then they write 2 or 3 more annuities. And some agents even writing 1 to 2 million more in annuities throughout the year by incorporating this as a consistent way that you're dripping on people. So that's why we created this, is that it's not really just always about getting a new fresh prospect and new marketing. That is one wheel that you should always have spinning, but you should also have a second wheel spinning in your business, which is you're consistently staying in front of people that need more education on retirement. And you're the one that can give them that education by being a retirement shield coach. So I really love this playbook.
Yeah, it's a great conversation starter to essentially give you the steps that you need to start that conversation, right? Because we all have whether it's a book of business of prospects or clients or even just your network, this helps create that conversation where it leads to utilizing the book or using the presentation slides that demonstrate your value, which is what I put in the chat. And this is all part of the Retirement Shield 360 process. And a big part of this is, and I mentioned at the beginning, is that we also round this out by giving you free weekly training. This is all free. This is no cost. This is a weekly roundtable annuity sales training call that we do every Tuesday, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 o'clock Eastern. And we have over 200 members and growing nationwide in our Retirement Shield system. And this provides a forum to have discussions around your wins, challenges, how people are using the book, how people are using the slides, how people are maximizing the impact of their sales process through the Retirement Shield process. And then we also provide, again, just like today, carrier product training, on-demand training that's available, exclusive tools like our income rider comparison reports at no cost, Rule of 100 reports, annuity rate watch access as well. A lot of cool features that you get as a part of the Retirement Shield member. And then here's what's really cool is this elevating the conversation even further. We have speaking coaches, podcast book coaches, even tax Social security experts on our team. And here's one I'm really excited about, directly related to the topic we had just with Nassau Re is the National Social Security Advisors Group. We actually have a partnership, a national partnership with a designation and then certification where you earn 8 free CE credits by taking it. It's basically like a 2-day course, essentially. You can get it done in 2 days or even 5 days if you want to spread it out. But it gives you a designation that elevates the trust factor. Right? We're always about, okay, if you're insurance license only, it doesn't matter if you're even a securities license. At the end of the day, are you having conversations around Social Security? Well, why aren't you? Maybe it's the confidence factor. Maybe you don't feel you've earned that right to talk about Social Security. Well, then earn it, right? And we're here to provide you an opportunity to get that Social Security designation at no cost. It's normally $1,200 to actually be part of. We actually have a partnership where we get a discounted rate down to 25% if you want to pay out of pocket. But we want to earn that business from you. Have your business cover the designation cost for it on your first piece of business through us of $150,000 or more. We can cover the cost of your designation to be a Social Security expert in the field. And on top of that, benefit from our other network discounts. We have partnerships with Levitate AI, Wealth Logic, where learn some of our other on-demand videos that help provide a sales process through third-party credibility tools that help build a case for why you're making your annuity recommendation. And it's all part of the RS360 system membership. If you're interested in learn more, this is all that's included. If you want that free playbook, go to shieldsuccess.com. This is where you can request information about that. Also, information about our client engagement tools, our slides and the handouts, our marketing guides, even our free coaching and training that you can get that's personalized. But it's all at our shieldsuccess.com. And also, if you when you become a free member, you're eligible to be a part of our live client experience. This is something we just did this over the last few months. We had one here in Seattle. We had one in Anaheim, California. Actually, I have a few more destinations here in the future that we're looking at, and also in Detroit. But this is an opportunity to actually see a client event in person and get a peek behind the curtains of what this actually looks like. Again, that membership gives you eligibility to participate in these free workshops in person. And we're going to be introducing virtual versions of this as well, where if for some reason you have time constraints to attend something live, we're going to be offering a virtual version of our annuity sales training event where you get to see this live. Again, for more details about that, go to our shieldsuccess.com website where you can actually see this, get to actually fill out a form online. And if when you go there, you're going to see a little intro about this, a little intro video that talks about our cross marketing playbook. But here you can actually fill out the form on the right side, quick form. Let us know you're interested, and then one of our success coaches, either myself, Ricky, or one of our other team members will be in touch with you here within 24, 48 hours to give you access at no cost. But Ricky, any last thoughts before we wrap up?
Yeah, I mean, really, it's looking at your entrepreneurship and your business from a bird's eye view. And if you've been asking yourself, like, or you know that you want to increase your annuity production year over year and start trending in the right direction with that, but you haven't, have you asked yourself, what does my sales process look like? What does every step of the way look like? Where am I losing people? If for some reason you feel like maybe people have been ghosting you on your second, third appointments, why, where did they get lost in there? And what maybe can we add into your sales process that elevates your credibility? It makes you look even more impressive so that these people want to stay with you every step of the way and give you even more of an opportunity to then pull a product out of your back pocket as a solution for them. So whether it's something missing in your sales process or something missing early on when you're first introducing yourself to people, where maybe you need your credibility elevated, your online presence, maybe attaching a book and being able to have slide presentations and, is going to bring more credibility and trust factor around what you're doing. We're just trying to teach you and educate you about some of these things that we see our biggest producers are all doing, right? So if you're wanting to get to that 3, 5, 10 million level in annuity production, but you feel like there might be some things missing, please reach out and connect with us. I'll dive deep in and we can look at everything from a bird's eye view and kind of circle some stuff that we feel like maybe you can incorporate that can really, increase that annuity production. So that's what we're here to do. Just trying to help you increase those annuity sales. So looking forward to having a conversation with you.
Well said, Ricky. No, I
Yeah.
appreciate your time and appreciate everyone's taking time out of the busy schedule to join us. Again, today's training and session is being recorded and will be available for replay on our annuityagenthub.org website. Also, follow us on our socials. Look us up on Facebook, Instagram, also LinkedIn. Also, we just are starting our YouTube channel as well. And all of our trainings and sessions like today are going to be archived on YouTube as well for public access. So look us up. We're Wealth Integrity Network, also WN Group, Win Group. We're excited to partner up with you and learn more about your business and how we can help enhance it. As you said, Ricky, take it to that 3, 5, 10, maybe $20 million mark. Everything we're talking about today is a part of what the best practices of our top producers within our network. Take care. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next one.